romance book lovers. Thanks for stopping by my channel. I am Kat. If you're new here, welcome. I love to share about the romance novels that I read with you here on my channel. Today's video is on the book Snake Bandit by Nikki Ashton. I have read several of Nikki's books. I will of course include in the description box below the videos I have done. Nikki writes some funny books. Nikki writes some more serious books. I have read each of those from her. She's so darn funny. I love reading her books. And even if it's a more serious book, there's always a quick wit in there, which I always like reading. It's kind of refreshing, especially when you're coming off of reading some really heavy books, which I am. I'm coming off reading some dark romance, some really emotional romance. So to read a book like Nikki's, it just helps alleviate some of the heaviness that those books can kind of linger within me. Snake Bandit is about the kids of her other series, the Dirty Riches series, Rockstar Romance books. So now Snake Bandit is about the kids. I have to say, and I'm so bummed that I didn't read that series first, because you would get so much more out of the story if you had read that series and then read this series. I imagine everyone that read Dirty Riches was freaking so excited to get Snake Bandit, and it really did whet my appetite in wanting to go and read the Dirty Riches Rockstar series, because I enjoyed those guys and their wives being parents to these kids in this story. It's really quite genius. Any of us that read a series that we loved and didn't want to ever let go of, and then if that author said, well, I'm going to write about the kids now, I'm like a pig in mud. And let me tell you, I haven't read one yet. I do know, and I will be reading Kat T. Mason, her Dark Love series. She is now writing the kids. Oh my God, cannot freaking wait. So it's not that you have to read the Dirty Riches series to get the full effect of Snake Bandit. You would get a little backstory as to the parents, and I love them in this book, so I can't wait to go back and read Dirty Riches. Snake Bandit, like I said, centers around the kids of the Dirty Riches band. It was a little hard for me just because I hadn't read it to keep like the family trees straight. And they were all raised together. They are all one big happy family. So it was a little hard for me to keep straight whose kid was whose and all of that. That's just me. It didn't affect how I felt about the story at all. There's a few different storylines in this book and a few different tropes that we get in the book. There's friends to lovers. There's kind of like the playboy that settles down. There's a little bit of forbidden, there's a little bit of an age gap. So we get a few different, which I really liked. So the kids that we get most of the story about here is Rocco, Ethan, Eliza, Gigi. And then their siblings are mixed in there as well, being Leslie, Matilda, Hendrix, Harrison. Who am I forgetting? I might be forgetting one or two, but mostly it's about Eliza, Gigi, Rocco. But yet there is the other character, so you know what I'm trying to say. The book starts with Rocco getting in trouble. Rocco, Ethan, and Eliza are thick as thieves. They're all teenagers, late teenagers, maybe a little bit older than that. Rocco and Ethan have gone away to college and have come home for the summer. And Rocco is a playboy. He is out there sowing his oats. And his dad is like pissed off because he keeps bringing girls home. And he's warned him, he's like, not in my house. Because of course, remember, they're all famous. And his dad doesn't want random girls in his house who could like walk around, take pictures of things, only like Rocco because he has famous parents. There was an element of understanding where they were in life and being the kids of very successfall, famous parents, and what that brings to you as a child. How they wanted to make sure, the Dirty Riches guys wanted to make sure that their kids weren't raised to be little assholes, basically. And Rocco is kind of acting like that. And so his dad, who is Jake, I think, I could be wrong, don't quote me. His dad's like, listen, I've warned you. I've told you that you're, 3 strikes and you're out, basically. He's had his 3rd strike. And he's like, okay, so guess what? You've got all this time on your hands. Now you don't anymore. And he puts him to work for the Dirty Riches band. They are preparing for a concert later in the summer, and he has decided that Rocco is going to be their assistant. He's going to be their gopher, their errand boy, their Johnny on the spot, has to take care of whatever they want, because he needs to fill his time and make him busy so he doesn't go out and keep bringing girls home. Sweet Eliza has always been in love with Rocco, even though they're best friends. And Rocco has no idea. So I was like, oh no, is her heart gonna get broken because he's out sleeping with anything that he can and she's the best friend? Oh my gosh, that was gonna break my heart. Eliza it's her dream to have a band. She wants to follow in her dad's footsteps and be a successful musician. So she wants to be in the studio learning everything she can. And I really hoped that that was gonna come to fruition in the book. Gigi is also working at the studio with the band. She has her eyes on a certain band member of a band that is going to open for, I should say, the Dirty Riches guys. And so she's like, oh my God, he's so hot, that lead singer. And so she goes and she starts hanging around and working at the studio, hoping to run into him. I kind of got the icky feelings when I started reading that. I thought it was a little bit too good to be true, but I could see through Gigi's eyes. She put him up on a pedestal. What's his name? Drayton? I can't remember his name now. It was a lot of names to keep straight in the book, but Snake Bandit really does read like a coming of age for these kids as well. In that, there's some serious situations that Nikki brings in, and I'll talk about that in a second. This is what Eliza talks about with Rocco. Eliza only had eyes for one person, and he was totally unattainable. As Rocco grinned at her, Eliza wanted to burst into tears. She felt the pain sharply in her chest. He was so damn gorgeous, and he would only ever think of her like a sister, but she loved him. She always loved them, Rocco and Ethan. But the last 2 years, her love for Rocco had changed to that of a woman for a man. She yearned for him and was desperate to kiss those plump lips of his, but it was never going to happen. Rocco simply didn't think of her that way. You probably just heard Macy. So there's definitely some steamy moments in the book. And then it's balanced with some really serious moments. It was definitely something that felt organic to the type of life that these kids and their parents lead. But there's like slimy people everywhere in the world. And this is from Gigi's perspective. Hey, gorgeous. She looked up to see Drayton smiling down at her. At the sight of him, she inhaled sharply. He was so beautiful. He looked a little pale, and his eyes weren't quite as bright as they usually were, but he still looked gorgeous. You're back, she replied breathfully. Yeah, you missed me? Drayton reached a hand out and tucked a strand of Gigi's dark hair behind her ear, his fingertip lingering on her cheek. Gigi felt her insides warm and strange feeling in the pit of her stomach, something she'd never felt before, but recognized as desire. So she's been flirting with him, and this is where it was a little bit of an age gap. And then it turns out that her dad is down the hallway and sees the interaction and is like, stay away from my daughter. The dads were all very protective of the daughters, of course, because they were rock stars. And I can imagine, the life that they lived and, all of that. So it felt very normal to have her dad react that way. But then a little bit farther, we got this. As Luke disappeared, Drayton watched him and planned how he was going to get inside Gigi Mahoney's knickers and still keep the gig that was going to make him a household name. Okay, and then Wow. So the drama in this book for me was what happened after this with Gigi. It got real serious for a bit. But then I loved how Nikki wrote how the family and people looked out for her and went to her aid when she needed it. And that's where the book kind of changed for me. It was kind of light and fluffy. And then that happened. And that's where I felt grounded in the story. And that's where I felt like, okay, like I felt like I started to really know them and be invested in them. And I just loved the rest of the book. Probably my favorite part to the book, and hear me out, was the epilogue. In that, if this book wasn't already completely genius because it was the kids of the main characters from the other series, the way she wrote the epilogue, and I think it's eight years later is the epilogue. The way she wrote it, and I don't want to give too much away, but it was conversations that had you catch right up with them. Absolutely brilliant. She put everybody in there, and then you knew where they all were in their lives. I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was so clever and well done. Let me know if you have read Snake Bandit or any of Nikki's other books. You know I always love to hear. And don't forget, I will also put a direct Amazon link to Snake Bandit and the Dirty Riches series in the description box below if you would like to grab them. While you're here, I would love for you to consider subscribing and giving the video a thumbs up. When you do that, it will tell YouTube that you like the video and it will show it to more people, which is great for my channel and great for Nikki's books. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.